Traditional employee training follows a predictable and largely ineffective script. Gather employees in a room, deliver information through presentation and demonstration, administer a knowledge check, mark completion, and move on. Most organizations have generated filing cabinets full of training completion records for training that produced no meaningful change in behavior, no improvement in performance, and no return on the investment made. The reason is not that training does not work. It is that the way training is typically designed ignores nearly everything that learning science tells us about how adults actually develop competence. This video covers the techniques that close that gap, approaches rooted in adult learning theory and validated organizational training practice that produce real capability, not just completion certificates. The first milestone is applying adult learning principles, the foundational theory that should govern every training design decision. Malcolm Knowles' model of Andragogy identifies 5 key principles that distinguish effective adult education from ineffective instruction. Adults are self-directed. They learn best when they have input into what they learn and how, rather than being the passive recipients of someone else's curriculum. Adults bring experience. The most effective training connects new learning to what participants already know, using experience as the platform for new understanding rather than ignoring it. Adults are motivated by relevance. Adults learn and retain information that they can immediately apply to real problems. Abstract knowledge divorced from practical application is quickly forgotten. Adults are problem-centered. Training organized around real workplace challenges engages adult learners more effectively than training organized around academic content categories. And adults are internally motivated. The desire to be competent and effective is a powerful driver, but it is suppressed when training is mandatory, passive, and disconnected from the learner's own professional goals. The second milestone is the modern training methodology mix, the techniques that implement adult learning principles in today's workplace. 5 techniques consistently outperform traditional lecture-based instruction. First, experiential and simulation-based learning, placing learners in scenarios that approximate real-work situations, role-play, case studies, business simulations, and requiring them to apply new concepts in real time. The learning in simulation is retained at dramatically higher rates than the same content delivered didactically because it engages cognitive, emotional, and motor processing simultaneously. Second, microlearning, delivering training in short, focused modules, typically 3 to 10 minutes, addressing a single concept or skill. Research from the Journal of Applied Psychology shows that microlearning improves retention by 40% compared to traditional training formats. Short modules also fit the fragmented attention environment of most professional schedules. Third, social and peer learning, structured opportunities for colleagues to share expertise, discuss challenges, and learn from each other's experience. Peer learning capitalizes on the organizational knowledge that exists but is rarely systematically accessed. Formats include communities of practice, mentoring pairs, peer coaching triads, and structured after-action reviews. Fourth, spaced repetition and application practice. Learning research consistently demonstrates that information reviewed and applied at spaced intervals over time is retained far longer than the same information delivered intensively in a single session. Building follow-up activities, practice opportunities, and brief reviews into the weeks following initial training dramatically improves retention. Fifth, on-the-job learning and stretch assignments. The most durable learning happens in context. Stretch assignments, giving employees challenges slightly beyond their current demonstrated capability, with structured support and reflection, is the development approach most consistently associated with accelerated performance growth. The third milestone is measuring training effectiveness, moving beyond completion rates to actual performance outcomes. The Kirkpatrick Model provides the most widely used framework for training evaluation. Level 1 measures reaction. Did participants find the training relevant and engaging? Level 2 measures learning. Can participants demonstrate the knowledge or skills the training was designed to develop? Level 3 measures behavior. Are participants applying what they learned back on the job? Level 4 measures results. Has the training produced the business outcome it was designed to support? Most organizations measure only level 1, the post-training happiness survey. The organizations that use training as a genuine performance lever measure at levels 3 and 4, and they design training specifically to produce changes at those levels. Here's the trap. Organizations frequently purchase and deliver training as a response to performance problems that training cannot fix. If the performance issue is caused by unclear expectations, inadequate resources, or a structural barrier, delivering a training program will not resolve it. Training is the appropriate intervention when capability is the gap. When the gap is clarity, motivation, or structure, training is an expensive distraction from the real solution. Your go-to. Review one training program your organization has run in the last year. Assess it against the Kirkpatrick Model. If you cannot demonstrate level 3 behavior change from that program, identify what follow-up activity would need to be added to produce it. Effective training and retention reinforce each other. Employees who are developed through skilled training stay longer and perform better. The retention video in this series makes the strategic case that training is best understood as an investment rather than a cost. The 70-20-10 model of learning and development, established through research by Michael Lombardo and Robert Eichinger at the Center for Creative Leadership, provides an important framework for designing employee development as a total system rather than a series of training events. The model proposes that professional development occurs approximately 70% through on-the-job experiences and stretch assignments, 20% through relationships and feedback from others, and 10% through formal learning and training programs. The implication is significant. Organizations that invest heavily in formal training programs but underinvest in the developmental quality of on-the-job experiences and in the feedback culture around those experiences are spending resources on the smallest portion of the development equation. The most powerful training investment a manager can make is often the developmental design of the work itself. Ensuring that team members are regularly given challenges that stretch their current capabilities, with sufficient support to succeed and sufficient autonomy to learn. This is the 70% portion, and it costs nothing but managerial intentionality. The manager who reviews assignments with an eye to development, asking not just who is best qualified to do this, but who would grow most from doing this, and how do I support that growth, is providing the most powerful development tool in the organizational arsenal. The measurement gap in training effectiveness also has a structural cause worth naming. Most HR and L&D functions are measured on activity metrics: training hours delivered, program completions, learner satisfaction scores, rather than on performance impact metrics. This measurement structure creates incentives to optimize for delivery volume and participant satisfaction, rather than for behavior change and business result. Organizations that shift their L&D metrics to include behavior change indicators and business performance correlates consistently improve both the quality of training design and the organizational impact of training investment. What gets measured gets managed, and training departments measured on impact design for impact. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, hit like and subscribe to our channel for more practical insights. And if you're ready to go further, check out the next video on your screen.